Well, good evening, everybody. It's a pleasure to be back. George Morgan here at your service. It's PSGL, it's Wednesday night, it's Spain tonight as well. Lots on the table, lots of battling. The title contest is still alive and kicking. And Jack, it's only taken us 10 rounds. We're on the 11th. It's all to play for.
Boromant goes on the inside and takes the lead on the final lap of the race. Now it's side by side between Boromant and Warner, but Boromant's got the inside.
Star here in this phenomenal race. Cameron Dowd looking to take P2 in his very first PSGL F1 PC race. Incredible to say the least. You see that Putin for lead. 1.5 seconds. DRS is the name.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome along to Premier Sim Gaming Leagues. We are here and back for the PS F2 Championships. I don't even commentate PC. I don't know how I'm making that mistake, but we're here for the PS F2 Championship. live from the Hungaroring here, just on the outskirts of Budapest. The Hungaroring first Grand Prix held here in 1986. It's a track with a lot of history, and a man with a lot of history in a PSGL commentary box is alongside me for this evening. Timon, how are you doing?
It's an honour. Much experience. I mean, this is for me only my third season, so the fact for me that I'm even here is every day or like every week, I'm still appreciating it a lot. But yeah, of course, we're back, race number 3 around the Hungara Ring this time. It's a nice track. It's a track that I've been myself. And actually had the honor to sit in the pit lane during free practice number 1. So it's just in like one of those pit slots. It's a beautiful track. The city is beautiful. And I hope the racing is beautiful too, because for me, this is a track which is very different compared to what we've had so far. Of course, Japan, a little bit difficult to overtake, but still, there was a long straight, or 2 long straights where you were able to do it, and before 130R, you were able to drive towards the other car. Here, you do not have that opportunity. You got one straight, one opportunity to fully send it, and if you're solid enough alongside, you can continue to overtake all time. So this is a track we haven't seen before. It's going to be interesting to see how the drivers will handle it. And qualifying wise, which we're about to enter, it's going to be probably the most important one yet.
Yes, it is a very important qualifying, sometimes this circuit described as Monaco without walls. But let's take a look before we get here at the championship standings from last week. It is Newth who is on top for the first time in a long time, as he said himself last week. It's Zorza then in second, with Ian Van Unen in third. Now, some bad news for any Ian Van Unen fans out there. I don't think he's able to race this evening due to those same wheel issues that he suffered in Qatar. So he's not going to be able to race this evening. Awful unfortunate for Ian Van Unen. But yeah, hopefully we can have him soon. Then last week's race winner Matteo in 4th, followed by Johan in 5th, and it's Noel in 6th, Fede in 7th, with Diogo Silva in 8th, then it is Carter in 9th, and Danielle is in 10th position. Then it's Covers, Ghost Kings, Dark, Philip, then it is Jacob Conius, and Skyline, and anyone other than that has not scored points yet. But a very interesting circuit here in Hungary. We touched on it briefly, Timon. What are we going to be expecting here tonight?
I think a long DRS train, difficult to overtake, but hopefully strategies that we haven't seen before. If you dabbled into some of the PC streams, you saw that drivers were starting on softs, mediums, and hards. There are loads of different tire strategies. You can go very early to have a massive undercut. Because it's so difficult to overtake, you can do that here. But you can also overcut to really have that tire advantage in the end, to still try to make those overtakes work. You can do the theoretical fastest time. And even if you do so, like theoretically, there are like 9 different strategies possible. So strategy-wise, from a commentator perspective, it's going to be amazing. For an engineer-wise, it's going to be really annoying to know exactly when your driver should pit, because you want your driver to appear in a gap, but you want to make sure that that gap will remain there and that you will not be falling back for a long time. And with these sharp corners, overheating is a massive issue as well. Setup-wise, drivers will be running the settings, which keeps their tire degrees at the absolute lowest. And that means that tire wear will be somewhat more heavy if the tire setups or like car setups will still remain like how they used to. That's at least to my knowledge. So setup wise, I think tire differentials will be very similar towards each other. Overtaking is going to be difficult. It's going to be a fun race because drivers need to send it to overtake. You're going to see this race who wants it the most. If you look at the championship standings, you've got 22, 18, 16, and 16 points. You've got a top 4, which is somewhat gone. This is their race to jump into that leading train and to show that they are here to fight for the championship. If you want it, it needs to happen here.
If you want it, you gotta go get it. I'm sure that was a quote or something at some point. Big thanks to Noel for actually reminding me of this. We have a home driver here this evening. Hungarian races are not something you see every day, but Shizu Noel is our home hero here this evening in Hungary. It would be absolutely fantastic if we could see Noel perform here at his home track. He said he's been away for a week, so it could be a little bit rusty on that front, but Noel is a very impressive driver, one who has impressed many a time. James Head in the stream chat, let's hope the drivers will be hungry like the wolf. If you want to hear more of those puns, tune into PSGL F1. I personally wouldn't recommend it, but if you're into hearing absolutely dire jokes all evening, make sure you do check out PSGL F1 at 8 p.m. Well, not until we're finished here. Once again, folks, apologies if my microphone is acting up. I genuinely don't know what's wrong with it anymore. 1 week it's too loud, 1 week it's too soft, and God knows. But while we have you here, while we're waiting for qualifying to start, make sure to check out our title sponsors, GT Omega. You can see me pointing to the logo there. We've both been given chairs. Big thanks to all at GT Omega, of course, so make sure you do check them out. 7:05, we still haven't got quali started just yet. We will hopefully have it going soon. And then hopefully we can get qualifying underway and then the race underway as well, of course. Some saying bro just ruined his chances of commentating PSF1. I don't think I had much chances after the board game episode, but we will wait and see. But yeah, looking at the grid, obviously we can see it time, and unfortunately those at home cannot see it just for now. Is there anyone who takes your fancy? Anyone who you think could take a surprise poll?
I mean, surprise ball. I think this whole season, if I'm going to have to predict someone to get ball, it will be Macho, because in my eyes, he's one of those qualifying merchants. He was unable to join the session for the longest time, but it seems like he just got in and that the drivers are about to ready up. But I know Macho, qualifying-wise, he is very quick. You got Govers, he's proven to be quick. And I think of this grid, again, it can all happen. I don't necessarily, you got your quali merchants here and there, but this whole grid is able to surprise us. But for me, in this tier, what's going to matter most is the race merchants. You've seen Zorzo, you've seen Nuve qualify badly, or not in the greatest position, and then both times fully make it up. You had last week, I think, the whole top 8 starting from outside of the top 8. So, everyone's starting pretty much outside of the top 10. I think our race winners were P11, P12, and P16. It shows that a lot can happen, but that's at a track like Qatar. Like I said, everything's going to be difficult. Qualifying merchants will be getting the benefit of the doubt here. And early shout for Paul, I guess. This time, I'm going to ask it for you, Evan.
Oh, I don't know. I agree with you with exactly what you're saying about that race pace is important, but I couldn't really predict someone from Paul.
You need to call a name. You do it to me.
I am. Surprise Paul Tales, maybe surprise Paul, something along those lines. I don't think he's going to win the race, but I think there could be a bit of a surprise Paul from our Brazilian. Maybe OP covers. It's not really a surprise. He has great race pace, but certainly could take a pole position here at Budapest. But ladies and gentlemen, no longer a wait. Grab yourself a cup of tea like I am. Make sure you've got yourself some snacks, because we are getting ready to go. This should be a really good one, ladies and gentlemen. I'm aware you couldn't hear me for about 2 minutes there. I was fixing my audio and still talking at the same time. Unfortunately, software doesn't work like that, but you can hear me now, and we should hopefully be all okay and ready to go here in Budapest. If you are watching this evening's action and you do notice any problems with audio, with the broadcast, please do let us know. Look, we're not going to bite your arm off for telling us in the stream chat. Capitano for the win, says Francie. In the stream chat, Matteo about to pull a back-to-back, says Bas Bremer. And James says, genuinely hoping it's a good race. I finished P12 around here in my league, so let's hope that's inspiration. I've actually won a PSGL Hungarian Grand Prix race. This isn't going to be the last time I mention it this evening.
Well, it's probably the only race you've ever won. Let's keep it at that. Quality merchants, question mark. But
he doesn't know, folks. He doesn't know. He is not a regular here. Timon, you're speaking to a PSGL champion.
Damn. The only experience I have in PSGL is applying and then getting told that I was too quick, so I couldn't participate. And that's actually fully true. But let's focus on the qualifying this time round, because just like last week, the first driver out on track will be TF10 Dark, and he will be taking us along for a lap around this track. People call it a Mickey Mouse circuit. It's the Monaco without walls. And this is a track where you need to push your car absolutely to the limit to go for that pole position. This is your first lap, so don't expect drivers to be 100% on that limit. But it's still going to be a very good lap, hopefully, for Doug coming up towards turn number 1. I think it's on the line on the ground where you can see it. That's where you brake. He misses the apex a little bit in turn 1, but once again, it doesn't need to be a perfect lap. You just want a solid benchmark and to improve so you can push your delta for the next lap. Again, missing the apex a little bit. You want to run this really wide, which is what I've learned and done wrong for a very, very long time. But then coming towards the end of the first sector split, we're going to be seeing a 27.2. I wonder if drivers are going to be going into towards the 26 because it didn't seem all that smooth for me. Now coming up towards the slowest 2 corners on the track, this slow right-hander and left-hander, you're going to see drivers send it in this race. I will tell you now, and it's not going to go nicely. Now coming towards this left, right, and then right section again, a little bit like Megan Spec, it's a little bit like Suzuka, but then more basic and less elevation changes. Watch out for track length at the end of that corner. That's a corner where it's likely to happen at 53.6, I do believe his middle sector was. It's still purple, but that's because no one else has sat a lap time. Now coming in towards the final 2 sector, or final 2 corners, it's a long left-hander and then towards a long right-hander. You would have really pushed the exit here, just absolutely send it here. This is the lap, or the corner where I ruined my world jacket on time trial a few games ago, but Doug sets a banker for 1:15.007.
Here comes Zorzo to the line. Oh, he's just actually starting a lap. Here comes Enzo. A first appearance from Enzo here this evening. He's got his lap as well underway, as has one of the Alpha Tauris. There goes Niels to second position. That's extremely close. And oh my god, the Haas splits the two of them. Look how close that top 3 here is in the early stages. Here comes championship leader Newt. He is just actually starting a run. That is Covers who goes quickest, and he's beaten by Kartzer. 1:14.906, first man into the 14s. That is the German who goes quickest, and quicker than his teammate Danielle. That is Max von der Geest, who goes to 6th. There's an Aston Martin rounding through the final corners now. This is Dirk. He's going to jump up to 4th spot. Here comes Diogo Silva. No, not Diogo Silva. It's Tales, my pole prediction, who goes to 8th spot. There goes Johan to 3rd. We're getting the next couple of cars through. There's actually a car around there in sector 1, I believe. That's Skyline, who's gone to 10th. There's the Williams of Diogo Silva in the background. He goes to 9th position. Here comes Shizu Noel, rounding for the final corners. Home Hero goes to 10th, but he's only 3/10 off pole. That's how close it is here in the early stages at the Hungaroring. Here comes Enzo rounding through turn 14, the final corner. You don't want to get it wrong through there. We saw Sebastian Vettel with a valiant effort to save his car from the barriers through that corner once upon a time. That's Ghost Kings, who goes to 15th. Let's see what our championship leader can do. Newt rounding through the final couple of corners here. Let's see, is he able to go quicker than his fellow German at the top of the order? Here comes Newt, final corner. Whoa, that's not good for Newt. 17th spot for now, but top 10 separated by just over half a tenth of a second.
Here comes your race winner from last week, Armateo. You were still on a lap. Maybe escaped from us a little bit, but we're going to witness him now. But I don't think that lap time is the best. Oh, it is actually. It's a 14.9. So never mind that. To me, it looked slow off Delta from that final corner. But Armateo placing himself in 4th place. Again, proving that he is one of the persons or the people to watch out for. I do believe Zane is still on a lap time. He is in the middle sector, choosing to go a little bit out of sync compared to everyone else, but still will be able to do 3 runs towards the end of the session here. Again, this right-hander, we're going to see people invalidate that on your final run because you can push that so much towards the limit. It's a 53.7 for Zane. So I do believe that middle sector is actually pretty decent. And now, again, those 2 final corners, to me, it's where you can make or break your lap time. See how confident they are on that left-hand side in the final corner. You saw Knuf get really close to it, but his lap time wasn't really that impressive. Zane Muir coming towards the line, and he slots in towards a pretty big gap that he has to close of about like 80 thousandths of a second. So my maths is not really on point. But, I mean, if we're talking about a big gap and then it's just 80 thousandths of a second, it just proves how close this field is because it's pretty much all within 3.5 tenths from first up down towards B16, which is Skyline. And then the only 4 people that are really out of sync is Ghost Kings, Macho, who we know is quick in qualifying, our championship leader, and Jacob Konies.
Yeah, it's a really interesting first run here in qualifying. Usually, you know, it's just experimentation laps and, oh, there's nothing to take from these ones. But It's so close. It is so goddamn close here at the Hungaroring. 10 minutes and 50 seconds to go. You are watching PSGL F2. Welcome along, folks. Welcome here this evening. Jeff Barron saying in the chat, sad that Ian's wheel broke. Yeah, it is. It is really, really sad. I hope he can get it fixed if he sends it back to Fanatec and he can get it sorted, or whether he gets a replacement sent out to him or something like that. Hopefully he can get it sorted. We do have a break week next week, so he has a week there as well. Also, once again, folks, can only apologise if my microphone is too low. I haven't a clue what's wrong with it. It just refuses to get louder. So can only apologise for that. But hopefully everything is okay on your end at home. In terms of this qualifying session so far, it's Kartzer who's on top, ahead of both Mercedes. And Covers, of course, did not have a great race last time out in Qatar. Had an alright qualified 5th. But he was 18th in the classifications come the end of the race. He'll be looking for a bit of a bounce back here, Timon, won't he?
Definitely. He said he got frustrated with himself due to the penalties. I do also believe that he did get a speeding penalty, and it just wasn't really his race for Covers. But I think every single race so far we've said that Covers has been very promising, that he showed signs of how quick he can really be. But again, here, I don't know if you were on board with Dark, a little bit of a mistake on the exit of turn 1, but in the entry, he misses the apex of turn 1 again. Let's see, turn 3, is he purposely missing 2 times the apex? Because I don't really know what the fastest line on that is. But I would assume it's to hit the inside.
I think you can run it wide a little bit through there. I wasn't actually looking. I was just checking more broadcasty stuff. But I think you want to run a little bit wide through there and kind of just push the car through the corner. That makes somewhat sense. I'll try to talk about it next time we see someone through there. But that was a very good first sector for Dark, and he's actually tracking from pole position. Of course, track evolution is a thing on the Formula 1 games, so you got to keep an eye on that as well. Remember, the fastest laps of the session usually come at the end. It's not gospel, but usually they do, and that's now 0.2 of a second purple. Make sure we will make sure to keep an eye on everybody else, as Dark is just weaving around some traffic here in the final sector. That is very well behaved from the Ferrari and the Alfa Romeo respectively to get out of Dark's way. Ready for the final corner, turn 14. Here comes the McLaren soaring towards that start finish line. 1:14.844, pole position here in the second runs of the evening. Dirk heading through turn 1 as well. Let's see how the Mercedes of Covers is tracking. He is tracking for pole as well. Very good middle sector from OP Covers. Here comes the Dutchman, gonna go and just about beat the McLaren. You can't really you can technically get closer to that, but theoretically that is still exceptionally close. Here comes Jacob Conius for the final corner, 17th for the lead Scuderia Ferrari at this point in the session. There's a Red Bull coming through the final corner. That is actually just one that is starting a lap. When you have 20 drivers all pushing like this, it gets a little bit tricky to keep up with who is pushing where. Kartzer, unfortunately, not going to improve on this endeavour because he has invalidated his next qualifying lap, so he'll have to go out again. There is an Alpine pushing through the final corner. That is Newt. Is he just starting his run? He is as well as Macho, who Timon said is going to take pole at some point in this race. He's just gone purple in the middle sector by a whopping 0.3 of a second, tracking exceptionally well here, but still needs to make up about 0.2 through this final sector. There's OP Max von der Geest, who goes to top position. He beats his fellow outplayed racing man, Covers, to the pole. 7 minutes to go. Ferrari rounds through the final corner. His teammate went 17th. He's going to go 14th. Not ideally where he wants to go, but Danielle is going to make that time even quicker. 1:14.726. The time just gets quicker and quicker and quicker here in the Hungaroring. Zorzo rounding through the final corner now. Let's see where the Mercedes can go. 1:14, 1:15, Zorzo onto the second row. Mercedes have locked out the second row here, third and fourth for Covers and Zorzo, but what a qualifying this is so far. The two Mercedes are separated by 3 thousandths of a second.
It's 4 thousandths of a second, but that's not important currently. I do believe that Knuth will remain in 20th this hot lap because he's only going 0.2 of a second quicker. Let's see if he can make a big improvement. It's only 17th for our championship leader, Knuth. He is really struggling at Macho as well, only down towards P16 for him, and I do believe that there are not many drivers still on that lap time. Pretty much everyone is starting to prepare towards the end of it. I'm just quickly going to be scrolling through to see if I can find anyone, but I do not really think a lot is happening. It was Diogo Silva who was trying again, but he has also invalidated. And I do believe that this is the end of those second runs, and that will now be entering again that little bit of a boring phase where no one's on our lap. We still got 5.5 minutes to go, but it's currently Daniel on board, which is not someone I would have quickly found out or predicted to be on board, but he's driven nicely in your last week's race winner, Amateo, in second place. Then you got the OP boys of Max and Govers in third and fourth, with Zorzo in fifth. Both Mercedes again up there. I think we talked with Zorzo about Constructors' Championships, and he wasn't really focusing on it. But with Zorzo and Govers in one team, this is a very dangerous pairing to just constantly look out for. Evan, what will you be expecting for that final run?
I think it's going to be very close for that final run. But Newtweek down in 17th is surprising me, because he's been a man on the up, and he was confident enough for this race when we spoke to him last week. Now, it's not all a big issue for the Newt fans out there. He did qualify 11th last week and was fighting for the race win, got second in fact. So it could just be a case of he's just got stuff wrong here or there, and he's got to fix it up on his last lap. Remember, he thought that he could get pole in Qatar, but just made a slight mistake into turn 1 on his final qualifying attempt of the evening. But we're going to have our final qualifying attempts of the evening here at the Hungaroring, as we are looking at Dirk rounding through the final corners. Let's stay on board with him for a couple of corners at least, until we get into the swing of things here in the final runs of the session. He's going to have a relatively clear track in front of him. There's only going to be 2 cars as he's going to brake at the curb. There is multiple lines through this first corner. Dirk is going to just avoid the apex and aim for traction on the end of that corner. Now, what you want to do here is put that right front there on that curb. You can see Dirk hooks in a little bit closer there, more what you were thinking of timing. So it might just be a mistake or two from Dark there, because of course these guys know the best. Then you're heading up towards this very ferociously quick left-hander. Gotta watch track limits there. So easy to go off and invalidate your lap time heading through there. Then it's the hairpin. You can use that curb a little bit more on the inside, but still looking to avoid it. Bounce yourself over these sausage curbs. Dirk actually avoiding them, so he prefers the flatter, smoother inside curb. Then just watch your traction through these lefts and rights. Flat through this one, and then this is the one that can cause the problems on the track limits. Gotta say, that's quite nippy from Dirk, and he's actually tracking relatively well here. This is a front row of the grid, and keeps it inside track limits. I thought that was gone for a second, but kept it inside track limits. But he's coming to the pit lane, so obviously lost too much time there with that liftoff. That's disappointing from Dirk. He was looking well there for a potential good grid slot.
Yeah, I don't know if Stewart's added any extra track limits, but I do not think that lap time would have been very legal if it were to count. Meanwhile, we go on board with his esports teammate, as in TF10 Skyline. Of course, they drive very different cars. One is orange, the other one is green. Skyline not really improving in that Sector 1, but he's still driving a low 0, which is a very competitive Sector 1. Clearly indicates that the time to gain is in Sector number 2 and 3. So let's see if he can nail it. Slightly hits the inside curve on the right-hand side there, but he doesn't really lose all that much time. In that corner with the high curves, we saw Knuf really go high over it and losing a lot of time there. So Knuf, he definitely made a mistake. He can still improve, but Skyline, meanwhile, 2:10s going quicker. This is one of the lap times and one of the people we need to be watching out for Paul. But just about beating Daniel may not be enough, because you got so many quicker drivers on better track conditions coming right behind you. It is unsure how much you can go for it. He pushes the left-hand side pretty much quite a bit now, and the exit seems good as well. I think we're going to have a new man on current pole position. It is a 14.675. And Matt Joe gives us a lobby restart, which is always fun to watch out for as well. But let's now go on board with the other cars on our lap time. And I do believe the next car really on our lap time, is it Jacob Konias? It was Jacob Konias, but he barely improved, only up towards P16. Not something that he was looking for. Meanwhile, we go on board with G-League Enzo. He has pretty much matched the exact same Sector 1 as Skyline. So that means that he has technically also gone purple as well. Clean towards those middle chicanes and now coming up towards the lefties and the righties. Want to keep as much momentum in there, and let's hope that he doesn't invalidate on this one.
Yeah, good so far here from Enzo, of course, making his debut appearance, and that's a 53.4 in the middle sector, which is not really ideal considering he had a very positive first sector, hitting a a zero, was it? Or a low zero, or whatever way the strategists call it. But here comes Enzo, heading for the final corner now. We need to keep an eye on all our top dogs as well. Danielle has just set a foot onto his final lap of the day. Here comes Enzo across the line. That's going to jump up to 8th. That is a steady lap from the Alfa Romeo here on his first appearance. Zorzo finding time as well. Keep an eye on OP Covers, one of the top dogs here in PSGL F2. He may not have got the start of the season that he would have wanted, but a threat as ever here in the championship. Not finding enough time in that middle sector. The final sector is where he needs to find all of his time if he wants to take pole position. Theoretically, could go on one more lap after this, but he's not going to have the tools such as tyres, fuel or ERS to go for it. So this is the last corner of qualifying pretty much for Covers. Pushes it right out to the track limits. Is this going to be enough? Oh, it is! He's stolen it right at the death. That was the monstrous final sector that he was looking for. But Danielle is finding time as well. He needs to improve big here in this middle sector. He's not improving big in this middle sector. Keep an eye on Matteo as well. Rounding through the final corner is the Alfa Romeo of Zane. Zorzo, is he finding time in the middle sector? He actually isn't, so that's disappointing for Zorzo. Here comes Danielle rounding through the final corner. Noel hits the checker and he jumps up as well. Here comes Danielle. He's not able to take pole position here this evening. Matteo he's down on his time. He's not quite backed off on it. He's giving it everything he's got. Is Johan still pushing here on the lap? I'm not too sure because he seems to back off. Here comes Newt rounding through the final corners now. Where can the Alpine go at the start-finish line? 19th for the championship leader. That's horribly disappointing for Newt. Keep an eye on the Red Bulls rounding through the final corner. Here comes Max van der Geest. He was quick at the earlier stages of the session. Is he quick now? It's 5th spot for Max. Still a decent qualifying for him, but not as much as he would have liked. We've got a few more runners here. There was one who's jumped up right there at the end. I think that was Dirk actually, as Tales goes off on the circuit, and Zane of course not pushing on a time. He's waited a little bit for it, but Covers is finally on pole position here in PSGL F2.
It's the race and the start of a race that Covers needed. He's been unlucky. He's the one that's been on top of the list for people to win this championship. Everyone's been saying it's going to be Covers, it's going to be Covers, and this is the first time that he has really been up there, and this is the race that he needs to show it in. He is in the best position to really go for it. Meanwhile, we also counted out Dirk. But when he went into the pit lane, he calculated that his lap time probably wasn't good enough with that mistake. He went into the pit lane, came out again, put on a fresh set of softs, and really put out that lap time. And it is just so immaculately close. Covers, though, doing a 0.2 in the final sector, being compared to some others up there, maybe even a 10th clear, which is an absolutely incredible achievement from Covers, and really that big last sector that he needed, he proved it there. And with that final sector improvement compared to everyone else, that is what gave him that pole position, even if he made that little bit of a mistake. But I don't think we should really be talking about the top runners here. I think we need to look at the man who's in P19, because Knuth, he's only 4.5 tenths off, and he's in P19. Your championship leader on a track you cannot overtake will be suffering.
Yeah, but I do also hope for his confidence sake he's not going to look at the number there too much, because that is still a good lap. It's just how close we are. But anyways, your top 10, it is Covers, Skyline, Danielle, Dirk, Dark, Max, Macho, Matteo, Johan, Zorzo. Then it is Niels, and then we have the Hungarian of Noel. Then it is Enzo, Ghost Kings, Kartzer, Zane, Tales, Diogo Silva, Newt, and Jacob Conius. We'll have a lobby restart, folks, but until then, please enjoy a word from our title sponsors. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to PSGL F2. We'll have a brief hiatus in your on-track action. Here this evening, we'll go back to the lovely faces of myself and Timon for a brief moment. Qualifying, very interesting one. The big talking point is our championship leader, Newth Down, in 19th position, which is not a great qualifying result for him, Timon. As you said, at the end of qualifying, not a track you can overtake on too often.
No, certainly not. Whilst I do believe that we should not be leaving this session, that we're going to do a restart in this session alone. So I hope it goes well. I'm just telling you this so you don't leave the session. We have to wait for you. Host has left. I think we're going to make a new lobby and it's going to be taking a while. But no, Knuth in B19, it's going to be a bit of a blow for him. I mean, he's here. He's had title aspirations before in the past, and he said if I do well in the first 2 races, if I'm in a decent enough position and not absolutely rock bottom, I will be going for this race and I'll be trying to win it, or for the championship and try to win it. He's currently leading it, and I'm sure that Knuth will be putting in all the efforts to really get back at it. But it's not like he can do an alternative strategy here, which Knuth likes to do. Many drivers are going to be starting on the softs, on the mediums, on the hards. It's going to be a really diverse grid from what I've been seeing at other races. So it should be all interesting to see what he does there and what plan he can come up with to really jump that field and get up there. Because that's really all he needs to do. It is to just score some points and make sure that he doesn't lose too much in the championship.
Yeah, we've your championship standings on screen, of course, folks, just to give you a brief reminder. Let's have a quick read through the chat then, shall we? Francie was asking Max to go practice instead of watching F2. I respectfully declined, said he should stay here watching the programme. And then he said he's a championship to win. Remember, if you want to see Max attempts to win the PSGL F1 championship, you can go and check that out at 8 p.m. But Midway saying Covers GOAT. Yeah, great lap from Covers to take pole position here. We saw the 2 Mercedes were really close on pace. Does this just once again confirm to us that Mercedes could possibly be the team to beat?
I've been saying that for a bit. Covers and Zorzo, team-wise, they are really strong, and there's not really another team that's up there to really challenge them. Maybe Dirk and Armateo, because Armateo's on a good run. He can potentially do it, but in my opinion, there's really currently one superior team. You also got Skyline and Dark, who've qualified this race really well, being in P2 and P5. So they potentially have a chance to do really well for constructors this race. But at this stage, Evan, they're all just thinking about drivers because they all still have that opportunity. Like we said in the beginning, you only got 4 drivers who really have a gap. And this is the race where you can make that gap, make that jump in towards there, and to really challenge for your title aspirations. And that's what everyone will be wanting here. Race-wise, honestly, knowing these drivers, knowing this grid, I think it will be entertaining. I think it will be chaos. And that probably, knowing our luck, Knuth can still win this race.
Yeah, anything can happen. It really can. Let us know down below, of course, in the stream chat who you think is going to win this Hungarian Grand Prix. I absolutely love seeing the different perspectives and different opinions of our folks watching at home. So make sure you do leave that there. In terms of home drivers, we have one here this evening. We have, of course, Noel, who's looking to win his home Grand Prix. There's only been one Hungarian to compete in the Hungarian Grand Prix ever across the board in Formula 1. That was Zoltz Baumgartner. Probably butchered the name, but Zoltz, he raced twice actually. He raced in 2003 for Jordan, and he retired, but then came back in 2004 and finished 15th for Minardi. I think Noel will be hoping for something a little bit better than a DNF and a 15th here this evening, but we will see if he can do that. Only 2 drivers' titles have been decided in Hungary. Of course, Nigel Mansell won his one and only in 1992, and Michael Schumacher won in 2001. We're not going to have a title here decided this evening. It's the 3rd round of the season, for goodness sake. But we certainly could have some big championship implications. We're getting ready almost to go here at the Hungaroring. It's going to be a dry race. We will not have any rain affecting us or just going by what is programmed from the lobby host. Timon, you were having a quick research on strategy before the broadcast here this evening. What are we going to be looking at for a starting tyre, potentially?
Thing and anything. Softs, medium, hard, you name it, it can happen this race. You can all find it. I am struggling to join the lobby, which is maybe an issue for later. But pit stop wise, the earliest we've seen people make pit stops from the softs is lap 10. The reason why you can do this at this track is because it is so hard to overtake. It's pretty much Monaco without the walls. You need to fully be able to send it, and if you're on all the tires, you can be under so much pressure. But if you simply do not make any major mistakes, it could still become it could still go well. And that's the beautiful thing of it as well. If you start on hards, all those soft runners will quickly disappear earlier on, and then you will be able to close those gaps later on. I'm still unable to join, which is somewhat worrying.
You might have to restart your game, potentially.
I have done that 3 times, which is the issue.
Oh. Oh, typical Cody's, isn't it? Hopefully we can get Timon into the lobby. Newth has popped into the stream chat to give his thoughts, just like I've asked you all at home to do. He said it's not looking good, bruv. So unfortunately that little bubble of confidence that Newth had is slowly evaporating. And I hope not, because I'm really enjoying watching Newth race this season. I think it's been thoroughly entertaining. And hopefully he can continue this good run of form. But he's going to have to work for this one here this evening around the 4.381 kilometre circuit. Let's have a look at our track map. This is going to be the wrong graphic, because I haven't updated. Yep, it's the Losail International Circuit. Bear with me one second, folks. I have Budapest ready to go. I just forgot to preload it before the broadcast. There's Budapest. This is the circuit here this evening. It's a 4.381 kilometre circuit, 2.738 miles if you're one of those people. It has 14 corners, 6 to the left and 8 to the right. The lap record belongs to Lewis Hamilton in the monster of a Mercedes in 2020, and then of course Covers will have a 618 metre run from pole to turn number 1. Turn number 1 can be pretty chaotic, I think it's safe to say, at the best of times here in Budapest. And then it's an even split in terms of full throttle and braking. 50% of the lap will be taken at full throttle. We've seen this circuit on the Formula 1 circus for the past 38 seasons, from 1986 to 2023, the year we're here in, of course, almost finished. We've got plenty of PSGL action coming to your screens, of course, here for the remainder of 2023. We have here at the Hungary all the races this evening. No racing on Thursday or next Monday. We're taking a quick vacay, and then we head stateside for the Las Vegas Grand Prix. First ever PSGL race in Las Vegas. It's going to be absolutely biblical scenes, as an old YouTuber would have said. So make sure you check out that. Then we head to the Red Bull Ring in Austria for more chaotic action, I think it's safe to say, and then to the Temple of Speed at Monza, where our 2 Ferrari drivers, Jacob Konius and Macho, would love a race win. Then we head to a newly updated Singapore. Of course, it has half the track cut off, reducing lap time, hopefully increasing overtaking. Then we do have our Christmas off-season. I know PSGL is the gift that keeps on giving, but you can give some actual gifts while we're on winter break. Then, start of January, we head back to the Circuit de Barcelona Catalunya, live from Montemelo, and then we head back stateside to Miami, and we finish off the season with to be or not to be. It is Britain and Bahrain. We're still getting ready to go for the action here. Timon, is there any more luck in getting yourself into this race?
I'm going to try a different account, because to me, I won't load in the game at all. It's going to be interesting, and if it really doesn't work, I guess I'll have to watch from your share play.
Yeah, we can set that up. I'll actually set that up while we're waiting here. We have
exactly.
We have some unbelievable solutions to the many technical issues.
Yeah, there are always plenty of opportunities. But to me, if I think of Hungary, I can only think of one race, which is, to me, the greatest racing series that there is: truck racing.
Oh, yes.
I don't know if you've ever seen it.
Oh, yes.
It's such an... they do it always on Hungary, and you just get trucks, and they just barge their way up the inside. And you always get that same guy winning, but I absolutely love it. And they do it often at the Hungaroring. So like when I was doing my research, the first thing I thought about was that track and those kind of races. If you are bored sometimes, just watch those truck races because it's such good racing. And I know I've said pretty much at every single race that there's been a different racing series which is better than F1, but at this point, pretty much everything's better.
Lads, I've no idea what's happening. My camera, it's gone mental. I've just saw James saying I'm having. Whoa! What the hell is happening? Okay, we'll go black screen for a minute. It looks like the PSGL opening with the glitching. This is what happens when you buy a webcam off Amazon and drop it a lot. Oh yeah, we're still having we're having a bit of a rave here on PSGL F2. Oh, now I'm stuck in a hideous freeze frame. Is that what I look like? Right. Is it working out? Okay, we're okay now. As I've said, folks, many a technical issue here in PSGL F2 at the best of times. And youth in the stream chat saying, don't worry, Evan, race will be better. I will do nothing all race, get 6 seconds and get 14th because of people retiring. Positivity as ever from our friendly neighbourhood league racers. Max saying facecam looking good. Francis saying... Oh, please, Grand Prix start soon. It's 20 to 8 in the evening, and we haven't. It's 20 to 9 in the evening if you're living in the Netherlands. Tom, I have not started the share play. I have started the party if you'd like to join. I think we can try and get a solution there. Although we are readying up, so hopefully things can get going soon. You know what, folks? We've been talking for a little bit too long. We're going to go and give you another word from our title sponsors, GT America. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Hungaroring here in Budapest. We're loading in to the racing action. We'll give you one last look at our track map, and then we will head pit side. It's not loading, so this segue looks dreadful. But it is, of course, the 4.381 kilometre circuit, 14 corners, lap record, still belonging to Lewis Hamilton. He hasn't beaten it in the time we last ran that out. Now we have a look at the Formula 1 Paddock Club and garages here at Hungary. You can see on the notification, Simon is watching my screen. So we do have our chief analyst and number one co-commentator here in F2. Simon, who wins it?
The only thing I'm currently thinking of is that we're going to get another restart because apparently Enzo's not in the right position.
Oh
which is
no.
fun.
Oh no.
Yeah, I think this is a little bit worrying. Doug has been tagged. Don't know if he's going to find out in time.
Hopefully he can. Hopefully we can get an update ASAP here on whether you've just joined the game, Simon. Yeah, we have another restart, unfortunately, folks.
It's a bloody restart.
We have another restart, unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen. Timon, you know what I think it's time for? Hold on, folks, this is not the race start, so we're going to just cut the cameras there. I think I know what it's time for. I think we do a little bit of a hot lap. We haven't done one yet this season. We haven't had the result for it, but hopefully we can do a little bit of a hot lap. Will Murdoch is now laughing at us all in the Discord server. That's not nice, Mr. Olympian. As we will see what's happening. We're definitely going for a restart, folks. So don't worry. We have just cut the cameras while we got confirmation. If you're in the stream chat, do you want an F1 car or a safety car? Let me know. F1 or Timon, actually, F1 car or safety car.
You have to pick a car which pretty much represents your base. And if we do a safety car, there's no car to save you for when you hit the wall. So I think we just do a Formula 2 car because not too quick, a little bit slower. Is there F2 time trial even? I think so.
Yeah, I'm going in the Red Bull. Okay, let's go to Budapest, and we will do a little bit of a hot lap. Timon, please do let me know when we are getting ready to go. Once again, folks, I would like to remind you that when we are broadcasting and playing F1 at the same time, there is horrendous latency, so this feels nothing but dreadful. But here we go then. This is Oh, that's very embarrassing. This is PSGL F2 hot laps. So down towards turn number 1, this is the main straight. I don't play on pad, and genuinely I have not driven this game in well over a month, so this could be a little bit rusty. So we'll do it nice and slow. So when you're braking, you've got to be braking around here in the race, just before that curb on the left-hand side. And turning into the corner, you're going to want to hit about here, because when you get to about this point, see just there, folks, see where the red curb ends, that's when you're going to be going full throttle. Keep the car as straight as you can onto that curb, and then the DRS is almost immediately on the exit of that corner, which is quite peculiar for a racing circuit. It's the same activation point as for the start-finish straight. And then for this next corner, you're going to want to pick up this curb, actually, and brake it around the 50-meter board there for this curb. Rotate the car in relatively towards the curb there to the left-hand side, and then accelerate out. Just miss that curb there, and then you can actually get the car around. No, you can't get the car around the corner full throttle because I'm a rookie. But the PSGL F2 drivers who have actually practiced this circuit can. Then next up, it is turn number 5. This is the uphill left-hander. One of the most difficult corners on the circuit. You're going to want to brake. My visual representation was always... okay, there was a white line there. They've removed it. But you're going to want to get around here and then bring the car right out to this point there. You're going to want to use as much of the track limits as possible. Then this next corner, turn number 6, about 4th gear through here. Some drivers will avoid that grey curve there on the right-hand side. That's muscle memory from previous games. Some of the newer drivers might actually use that, and then you get the car right over here and onto this red curb. You're in a straight line here, but before you brake, get onto that curb. It just opens up the corner a little bit more, and then you're supposed to hit that apex. I absolutely have butchered it, and I've spun again. That's rather disappointing. I do apologise, ladies and gentlemen, for these amateur driving skills, but there's a reason I talk at these races and don't race in them. Next left-hander, little tip that Nico Rosberg actually gave me, not personally, I watched one of his YouTube videos, to hit this grey bit here. Actually, extra grip through there compared to the main racing surface. You can see Dirk has invited us there, so we're going to just speed this up a little bit. Through here, you want to keep in about 4th or 5th gear, driver preference, flat through this left-hander, and then for this corner here, you're going to want to hit that curve there on the right-hand side. Obviously, I've not, because I am goddamn awful at this game. Braking for here, brake early, and take as much of this as you can. You can't cut it as much as I have, because you will invalidate your lap. We've spun again. Quick shout-out to Crypto.com. I've hit your branding about 4 times. Then rounding in towards the final sector, under the Michael Schumacher Cruises sponsorship board, you're going to be taking this corner in about 3rd gear, I reckon. Some of the rookie drivers on the F2 grid, as in all of them compared to me, might use a higher gear for extra traction. This next corner here, then, little tip I picked up, actually take this one in 5th gear, smoothens out your traction for the end of the lap, and then come around for the final corner. You've just won an F2 race, and yeah, job's a good one. We're going to hopefully get back into the lobby, and yeah, apologies once again for the lack of skill you've just witnessed.
I think the next YouTube shorts on PSGL will be a compilation of you going round and spinning. And if it's not, the person who's doing YouTube shorts should be fired. But a 3-minute hot lap, I think it would have placed you just about outside of the 100 and something % rule. So unfortunately, you're not allowed to drive, so you have to stick with commentary.
Yeah. I'm a PSGL champion, by the way. Just a reminder. Pretty sure I still have the highlights of that.
Did you get paid for every ad you hit, or?
Maybe. Oh no, now I can't join the session. This could be disastrous. I do actually still have the highlights of that Hungary race. I must put together a little bit of a compilation and play it for the next race. Newt, I don't know why you're slagging my lap time. You qualified 19th, my friend. So, yeah. Neil saying Evan is cooking. Absolutely agree. James saying Evan Rosberg masterclass. Absolutely agree. Ben's saying, what am I seeing? You're seeing perfection, my friend. It's not something we get often in league racing, but that was absolute perfection. Yeah, I've run out of things to talk about, to be brutally honest. I'm going to have a sip of water.
I mean, staying hydrated. It's important, of course. I do feel for the drivers here that were planning to engineer their fellow teammates in PSGL F1 or F3, because they'll likely miss that, because the PSGL F1 race qualifying will be starting soon, but this is way more important and way more entertaining. I mean, PSGL F1, what you're going to see? DRS trains the whole time? You're going to see actual overtaking there? Nah. F2
Yeah,
is
imagine listening to James Head for an hour and 30 minutes.
It
Couldn't do
would
it.
be
Couldn't
boring.
do it.
He's that guy that would suit up for a race. And there the silence was. But
I prefer not to speak. If I speak, I am in big trouble.
We were talking about this before stream, that Evan and James were planning on both suiting up and getting into nice clothes for the final race of the stream. And Evan put in all his effort, and James was just there, just in a casual outfit. Just
As he should be.
Making a little bit of fun from Evan.
As he should
so
be.
We've,
It
we've
was a
said
league
that
racing
if there's a close title fight towards the end of the season, we will both be suited up.
Yeah, I'll put the suit back on. I actually have a different one this time as well. I actually have a grey suit, so I can put the suit back on for the finale. I'll get the blazer as well. A little camera trick, wasn't wearing suit trousers. So yeah, unfortunate about that. But genuinely, for that whole F2 finale, I was in a shirt and blazer, and it was roasting. It was so warm, because that was such an intense race. And I was there in a full long sleeve white shirt and jacket. Genuinely, probably the funnest race I've ever commentated on. It was absolutely unbelievable. But yeah, thank you very much for all of you for sticking around here. Hopefully we can have a race start soon. We're not at the dire end that F1 was last season when I commentated on it, when we didn't actually get a race. Hopefully we can get started fairly soon. Give us something to talk about in the stream chat, because I think me and Timon have run out. If you have any questions you want to ask about PSGL, if me and Timon, you want to do a Q&A with us, feel free to ask. Because we're not readying up either, so the grid is hopefully being set.
We can hand out some good takes on food. I've got a pretty good one.
Oh, okay.
All
here we go.
sauces for food are overrated. If you eat sauce with any food, it's because you don't like the food. It's because you like the sauce.
Partially agree from here. Let us know down below. Do you like sauce on your food? Next one. I'll do one then. Here's actually one. Here's one that you may all hate me for. I don't have milk with my cereal. I don't.
You have what? Water?
No, I don't put
Or
anything
just
on
dry?
it. Yeah, I actually have a glass of milk beside it.
That's weird. That's
It is
really weird. I mean, time's are readying up. Let's just move from here, and I'll throw one more out of there.
Okay.
And that's it. For the football fans, Julian Alvarez is a classified better striker than Erling Haaland in every single way possible.
That's just factually wrong. It's just
It's
wrong.
factually correct.
It's just
That's
wrong.
the beauty of it.
It's just factually
that.
wrong.
Look at their goal-assist ratio and compare it to the game time, and Julian Alvarez will have a better goal-assist ratio than Erling Haaland. And he also plays behind him.
If Julian Alvarez was a better footballer, he'd have more game time.
It's Pep
Facts.
And I mean, Kevin De Bruyne's there. It's a too heavily contested spot.
It is a too heavily contested squad. I'm going to give one more last hot take before we go to advert. Messi is way better than Ronaldo, and you're a child if you think different.
True.
Here's a word from our title sponsors, GT Omega. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Hungary. I'm going to give one more football take before we get started this evening. Go Ahead Eagles are going to win the Champions League next season when they qualify for Europe. If you don't know who they are, your ball knowledge sucks. Back to racing then. Timon, for the second time, who wins this one?
Eagles, even in the main league of the Netherlands, I don't even know.
They're fifth in the Eredivisie.
Oh, I genuinely don't watch it.
Oh,
I think Gova's going to win.
Hold that thought. We go straight to the racing action. 5 red lights here in Budapest. We go racing in Hungary. Great race start from Danielle on the second row. Instantly covers off Skyline, who gets an absolute rocket of a start in towards turn number 1. The McLaren to the outside. Dark dives, and there is a bit of a collision in towards the first corner. They feared it. They've got it. It was Dirk and Dark that made contact. Skyline in second here wasn't able to get past covers on the opening lap of the race. Johan now side by side with Danielle. He just gets the job done. A huge start. There's an AlphaTauri round. Ghost Kings round and into the wall here at the early race start. Horror start from the AlphaTauri. He's down and round. But look at this man. Newt is up 8 positions to 11th. He's got a great start here at the Hungaroring and already recovering from that poor qualifying. Here's your start tires on screen now, folks.
He went on board with Knut, and everyone just seemingly got out of the way. It's like it was some sort of god. Everyone was just spinning around him and doing something else. But tire strategies, Gova's the only person on the mediums. If he is able to fend off the soft runners on the early stages behind him, he has such a big chance of winning this race because he will know that he has that tire advantage compared towards the end of the race. But let's go on board now with Skyline, because I think he's going to be using absolutely everything he's got in his battery to go past this lap, because he knows this is the lap that needs to happen. Gova's going offensive towards the right-hand side. Skyline, though, absolutely pushing, burning everything from an energy. He's going to go up the inside here. He is going to go up in the inside. Gova's going defensive, trying to go around the outside, keeping a momentum there. He goes a little bit wide. Better exit for Skyline, although soft tires again, fully on the overtake. Going to go side by side in towards the next corner. Who is going to be going out on top? It's a native break by Gova's. He goes a little bit wide. The switchback from Skyline, and now he's going to have the inside for the next corner, but the exit is not better. He gets pushed off, and Gova's keeps that spot.
Oh, incredible driving from the pair of them. That was fantastic. Cover still leads this Hungarian Grand Prix. We 4 cars into the pits. That's Jacob Gonius, Gartzer, Ghost Kings, and Zorzo. So 1 Mercedes leads, 1 Mercedes is in wreck and ruins from an early lap collision, it seems. He's gone for a medium tyre, just like his teammate is on. It is TF10234 here in Hungary. It is Skyline, Dirk and Dark. Great race start from the pair of the McLarens. They've both gone aggressive. They've both gone for the soft compound tyres. We're rounding into the middle sector here, or apologies, final sector, for the second time. If you do hear a controller vibrating, that is mine, which is vibrating to whatever curb they take, which is rather difficult, but let's see then. Is Skyline going to go for it again? He is in the slipstream. He'll have DRS benefits next time round. Of course, there's only 1 activation zone here at the Hungaroring, meaning he won't get it on the main straight. Could get it here on this one. Does he get it on this one? No. So he is going to get it next time round. That's what technically it's 3 laps with no DRS compared to the usual 2. Bit of movement in the background here. This is Zane and Diogo Silva side by side. And actually, Diogo Silva actually got the spot on Max Vondergeest. Not Zane, and Max has gone round. He's locked the rears, it seems, and Max goes round under his own accord. Very poor start for the Red Bull there. He spun round and is now last of those who have not made a pit stop. Both Hasses have struck trouble in the opening phases because Danielle and Kartzer both making pit stops. Kartzer now the lead Haas, but up the front, Covers is actually holding on quite well considering he is on a worse compound tire compared to the 5 behind him.
How did you pronounce the second Haas? Kartzer? It's guards racing, though. Surely it's just guard racing.
I'm sorry, I've known Kartzer for ages, and that's what he's always been called.
I didn't know. I mean, it could be right. I think that's something we need to ask him for whenever he gets on the podium. But Skyline, is this the opportunity to go for it? He has DRS, and now he's going to be burning again absolutely everything that he has from that battery. This time, he needs to go for it. He needs to send it more confident up the inside, maybe around the outside this time. He's going to try the outside. It didn't work the first time. Will it work the second time? We're going to see Fernando Alonso as defending like he did last time round. But Goff is now on the outside, seemingly unable to do really anything, and he's going to yield that position. He's held him back for 3 laps, and now Goff, all he needs to do is stick in the DRS for the rest of the race with Skyline and make sure that those soft tyres die off a lot sooner, because he knows that he will be having those softer tyres towards the end of the race. So such an advantage. Skyline absolutely sending it there, pushing those tyres to its absolute limit and forcing Covers to push on those tyres as well to somewhat respond. It is easy to get a track limit warning here, so maybe we can still expect drivers to get a penalty. And last time around Qatar, Covers was the first person to really get a whole lot of penalties. So let's hope for his sake that it will not happen again. Meanwhile, Knuth already up towards P7. Got past Macho, and he's now behind his own teammate, but it is a 1.9 second gap towards all those cars up ahead. He has been gapped, Niels, by Enzo, who actually did make the cut towards that train. And let's see if Niels is now going to try to carry Knuth forward. But with the lack of DRS zones, it's going to be difficult to really carry a car forward. But Niels on pretty much a fully full battery that's exactly what he needs to do. Meanwhile, a little bit still of defending up front, but seemingly no overtaking this time round.
Yeah, and those two Alpines are the two main drivers. Of course, we saw an incident in F2. I say incident, it's not an incident, but that's just how I'm calling it, with a reserve and a main driver. With a bit of team orders in the PC side of the F2 division. There's going to be nothing like that between these two, because they're both main drivers, they're both fighting for points, but I wouldn't be surprised if Newt starts to become a bit of a hazard behind Nils, and that he might not let him through. But I gotta say, they're fairly even on pace for now. Nils arguably in the better spot with that extra battery, so there's no need for any conspiracies like that just yet, I think, as Danielle sets the fastest lap of the Grand Prix. That's a 1:18.0 on the medium tyres for Danielle, so clearly pace in both the Hasses here this evening, I think. Skyline's pulled a 0.6 of a second deficit over Covers. I think for Dirk and Dark's sake here, they've got to try and make some overtakes and get past the man on the mediums. Although Covers has good pace, it's not as good as the soft tyres.
You would think that, but I think the switch to where those tyres are relatively equal has maybe already even happened, because it can happen so soon, and those tyres, the soft lagging. I hope it's good on your end. And there it's back for me, so don't really worry about that. But the top 5, seemingly it's going to be the main battle between them, and you got 3 TF10 drivers, 1 G League driver, and 1 driver from OP. Now I know that there can be no team orders from esports teams, but you do have 2 McLarens there. Now it's going to be interesting to see if Dark is maybe going to be going for an undercut to make sure that it becomes a McLaren 1-2 and that they're able to fully defend it off. Because we've seen teams like F7R in team events defend to perfection. One driver taking the inside, the other driver taking the outside, and just slowly braking a little bit earlier, making sure that the other drivers are unable to overtake. And if the McLarens are able to get in a 1-2 position, I know for sure that they're going to be working together, and then it could turn into something really, really scary.
Yeah, of course, they're not supposed to work together, but they will.
No, but
humans are long. Oh yeah, no, both McLarens can. I'm saying for the esports teams, of course. But
no, I'm not talking about the esports team, but I was referencing both McLarens. But Goff seemingly, he's hungry again for an overtake, not really using all that much of his ERS, but he's going to go for it again, going up the inside there, and Goff's on those medium tyres, already regaining that lead. And it is something that Skyline should be more afraid of. I don't think he was maybe expecting Goff to really send it. And Covers maybe not as well, because he didn't really use a lot of his battery, and he still was able to go past Skyline so easily. I think it just shows how much raw pace Covers really has in this race, and this is his race, his time to shine, and he needs to prove it today.
Yeah, I absolutely wholeheartedly agree with you. I don't think Skyline expected Covers to retake the race lead. I think Skyline thought he had it a little bit his own way at the front of this pack. But the top 5 all running really close together. And Nils slowly but surely catching. I say very slowly but surely. He's only caught 0.5 of a second since we last checked in with the Alpine. But still, slowly but surely catching. It's 9/10 up the front between Covers and Skyline. Covers is going for this one. He feels he can pull the DRS here. And this is, I think, Covers' attempt to make a statement performance. Of course, he is still in the back of his mind looking for that promotion to F1 that he feels is justified.
He's got it.
Sorry, Simon?
He's got it. It's Skyline making a mistake in the second to last corner. The gap is 1.5 seconds. Covers has managed to gap the whole field again. Last time in F2 we saw someone gap. It was Ian Van Unen. And again, Dirk, seeing what's happened, he needs to profit from it because he thinks he has a lot better pace than Skyline. And he needs to now hunt down Covers. Covers, it is the gap that you do not want anyone to give once you're in the lead. Meanwhile, Knuf, your championship leader, losing one position to Macho. Those soft tires really starting to die off and you want to get rid of them as soon as possible. But we all need to turn our attention to Dirk. Can he catch up to Covers? Yes or no?
Yeah, I think this is brilliant by Covers and by his strategy team to notice that drop-off from the soft tyre, because now we saw Macho make a move on Newt, we saw Matteo make a move on Tales. The soft tyre is falling off early here. Timon predicted lap number 10. I think you're going to be absolutely spot on with that one once again. And Covers is not losing time in this middle sector to Dirk. He's gaining it, if anything. It was 1.2 heading up towards turn 5, 1.385 now heading towards turn number 11. And this is crucial territory here in this race. Of course, an undercut attempt still will be made by those on the soft tyres, so the strategy game is not dead and buried just yet. But certainly it's being lowered because Covers has played an absolute blinder on lap 7 and lap 8 of this race. Now there's a 1.4 second lead over second and third place. And, well, 1.6 over second and then even further back to third. But from second to fifth are all in the train. Nils has... He's got a little bit of a motivational boost here because he's caught 0.4 of a second on that lap to G-League Enzo. Here's a move from Matteo, diving down the inside of the championship leader. These two fought on the last lap of the Qatar Grand Prix, the Losail International Circuit, a week later. They're fighting earlier on lap number 9, but it is the same result, and the victor of the Newt-Matteo battle is the latter. And Matteo up to 8th here, second highest hard tyre runner, with the first just in front of him in striking distance. Good race this so far from Macho and Matteo. This could certainly fall into their hands in the last couple of laps.
Is going to fly away. I think this is the quickest we have yet to see a race decided here, because even if you make that undercut, Covers, he will be forced to stay out, but on a later stage, he will have it all for himself. And even if you have a scenario of a later safety car, again, the good arrows and the good signs are pointing towards Covers. I think he has nailed this. He's got the strategy absolutely perfect. And from this one onwards, he now just need to push. And for me, it's interesting that the McLarens are not working together because Dark's got a full battery. Skyline seemingly struggling a little bit more. So maybe they want to make that swap still, because Skyline's pace was clearly lacking from how easily he let Covers pass and go away. Meanwhile, Niels, he is so close to getting fully back into that train. Was not even using all that much ERS. So it shows that Niels, or El Capitano as the people like to call him, that he actually has some very solid pace. And the only train that we really have, it's currently the top 10, but we know that Diogo Silva is catching up towards it, and he's carrying Zena alongside him, and maybe Johan can catch on as well. But besides that, we really got a few big trains. But if it all bunches up a little bit, you've got the top 13 all besides each other. If Johan keeps going off like that, I don't think he'll catch.
No, I've only got one penalty so far this race. That is a 3 seconds for ADT Daniel, who is in 16th position. Last season's PSGL F3 champion. He's not got the best start to the season here in PSGL F2, but look, it's still early days, and now he's a penalty friend. It's Jacob Conius who does pick up a penalty. He is, of course, in replacing Will Murdoch for this evening. If I remember correctly, Jacob is an Aussie, so it's a middle of the night race for him. So much respect to Jacob. I first commentated on Jacob back in the F5 tier, back in the day, on F1 2021. Lap 11 of 35, I should say. We've just crossed the checker. Still plenty of action here in PSGL F2. Make sure to pop a subscription on the YouTube channel. Make sure to like the stream. We have a fast-paced Hungarian Grand Prix here. If you want more fast-paced racing action, make sure to subscribe to Premier Sim GL on Twitter, YouTube, and we've got an active Instagram page as well. So make sure you check out all of those, and of course our title sponsors GT Omega. But so far, this is a, I would say, peculiar, more interesting running here of the Hungarian Grand Prix. We've got many drivers on 3 different tyres, and we've got a big strategy question looming in the distance for the teams, the drivers, and the engineers to make.
Yes,
or to answer,
I do know that Dirk, I do believe that if you go on board with him and quickly show on telemetry, that blue light, I do believe it means that his strategy is to pit on this lap. That's either something he selected pre-race or that he's selected now. So let's see if we're going to be seeing people pit. And goes Dirk there? No, he doesn't. He teases a little bit with it, and everyone's seemingly still remaining out on track. Tallis thought about it for a quick second, but also himself remaining out on track. And I do think that the train behind has seemingly thought, we'll just let Govers go. We might catch him back in because we will have those fresher tyres on the mediums. He might just regain back in the train, and then it will become an issue. Pointlessly catching him now, doing a really big undercut, is not going to help us later. Especially knowing that Govers will only be pitting like 13 laps from now on. So Govers, in a realistic fashion, he has nothing to worry about. He just needs to prove himself that he can drive cleanly, don't get any penalties, don't get any warnings for the next 13 laps, prove and make sure that he ideally jumps the whole train that's behind him, or otherwise doesn't fall back all the way towards that long train. Because imagine if Govers came out and he got stuck behind Knut, he would need to overtake 8 cars, and that's the risk of him being on the mediums. He knew that he would have the opportunity early on to break that gap and to really go for it. But now he needs to make sure that he doesn't get screwed over when he makes that pit stop.
Yeah, it seems like there's almost an admittance of early defeat from those in the train. I don't believe they've given up on this race for a second. I think they've just decided that, okay, we're not going to catch Covers. We may as well just manage, just save, and stick relatively close, let him go off and do his own thing and think he's going to win this race, and then we'll bite back at a later point. But lap 13, no pit stops, no safety cars, not even a yellow flag, I don't think. Here comes a double overtake potential for Matteo in towards turn number 1. Doesn't get the lunge on Macho, but poor Nils has just lost 2 positions in the 1 straight, and the Alpine is down to 8th position here in this Grand Prix. Our 2 hard tyre runners of Macho and Matteo, M&M, they're both cutting through the field. No, didn't have a Slim Shady pun there, but thought there might have been one in the locker. But they are both cutting through the field on that hard tyre. Gotta make sure they don't lose themselves here. Otherwise, they could go sliding off the circuit. Yes, I knew I had one.
Really hope that one was meant.
Yes, it was. I was searching for it.
It was a really good one, I won't lie. No, I mean, if we had another lobby reason, we probably had to resort to singing Eminem, which you don't want, because one, I mean, we don't have to worry about copyright striking, because I, for one, can't sing. And 2, we wouldn't want to have to listen, the watchers do that, because otherwise we'll have 0 viewers by that moment. But let's just focus on the race currently. Both Alpines absolutely chilling, and there we have the first pit stop. El Capitano, aka Juventus Racing News, in towards that pit lane, and he is the first person, I think, to swap towards the medium set of tyres. Swapping out those softs, and he is going to be making an undercut, seeing if he can just remain ahead of the train that he's currently in, and maybe catch up towards Enzo and the whole train that's up ahead. Because Enzo, I don't know if you've really spoken about it yet, he has lost connection to the train. The 3 TF10 drivers are driving in a very good pace. Dirk leading that train, proving them really well, and Enzo, his battery is fully drained, as you can see on the steering wheel, and he is 1.3 seconds behind, slowly being reeled in by Macho. So I think Enzo this lap, he will be pitting, and I probably think one of the McLarens are going to go for it as well. But if you're both McLarens, you might as well help each other and go for a really long stint, and then a really fresh tyres towards the end. Because I think that may be the strategy that both McLarens need here.
Yeah, that could certainly be an interesting strategy. We've got those on the softs who will be pitting, but Macho and Matteo in a great position as well on the hard. So they're going to go for the softs towards the end of the race, I presume. Well, one is in. Now the Skyline, lead McLaren, lead strategy choice, who comes into the pit lane, as does Enzo, both into the box. Let's see where they come out in relation to our earlier pitter of Nils. He is heading in towards turn number 13 now, the left-hand hairpin. And then in towards turn 14, the right-hand hairpin, pardon me. But let's see where he comes out in relation to them. It's mediums for Skyline, it is mediums for Enzo. Skyline coming out of the pit lane. Nils is still that little bit far behind, but he was behind anyways. Here he comes heading down the start of the straight. There is your pitters. He's caught time. He has caught time on those two, so this undercut could be very fruitful for El Capitano as he's heading down towards turn number 3. Right on the tail of Enzo here. Enzo, of course, broke away from the second, third and fourth position train, and now he might slip into the hands of Nils sooner rather than later here. This is a really interesting one.
Especially since that it was only a 1-lap undercut, so the tyres are not really going to be all that much worse, and I do believe that Niels will then have the strength to remain in towards that train. Enzo, he really needs to push to get fully in among that train again. It's only 1.3 seconds, the gap was more beforehand, so that means that he did get a better pit, and it covers him.
Whoa, very early.
I think he's going to go on the hards and maintain his gap. 3.5 seconds was surely going to be enough for that, and I guess in the end, towards that stint, those harder tyres are again going to be better. It's a medium-hard strategy. It's unorthodox. It's not something that we would have expected 2 times the harder set of tyres, but it's a bit of a conservative strategy, and it's going to be fine. And that is what we were talking about. Making sure that you don't get undercut by the other guys. How can you fix that? Pit at the same time. Pit on the same lap, and it should be all fixed. The first lap will be a little bit of a struggle for Covers, needing to warm up those tyres as soon as possible, and it's only 1.9 seconds coming out of the pit lane, but it should be all fine. Meanwhile, Enzo and Niels, they're going at it, but they both jumped dark after a really poor pit, so maybe getting held a little bit in those pit boxes. And the current order, it is Covers, Skyline, Dirk, Enzo, Niels, Dark, Thales, Knut.
Covers' gap is down to 1.5. It's a traditional F1 2022 strategy from Covers, and yeah, he's pit at the same time to, pun not intended, cover himself off from the drivers behind. Skyline is catching very quickly on that medium compound, which I think will be decent until the end of the race. It realistically shouldn't have as much drop off as the soft did, but we still have loads of laps to go in this race. It's a short enough circuit of the Hungary ring, so we do get a lot of laps completed. We're on lap 17 out of 35 here in PSGL F2. Macho's going to actually lose the race lead to Matteo, and all the old switcheroo from Macho. He sent Matteo, but Matteo got to try defend this one. Got good traction and braking for turn number 3. These two are not going to trip over each other too much. Of course, M&M, as they were self-dubbed earlier. The palms are sweaty. These weak arms are... I don't know the words, but you get what I'm getting at. Driving a great race, the two at the top. So is Diogo Silva, mind you. He's run a steady race, sort of slow and steady. Maybe not wins the race, but maybe picks up some good points here in Hungary. Zane then in 4th as well, as did decent. New is 12th in this one, but of course we still do have the top 4 to pit lap 17 of 35.
Any privilege of calling people slow? You did a 3-minute hot lap off this track.
I was on pad with latency issues.
I think it's bad excuses. I mean, I got.
I'm gonna post a hot lap on Twitter tomorrow of Hungary, and I guarantee you I can get into the 14s.
14s. What qualifying did they set again?
Oh, sorry, no, low 15s.
Getting a bit shaky on itself. I mean, I can challenge you to beat my time trial time a few games back. I think that would be a nice challenge.
Is this the same one you called a world record attempt earlier? If so, I respectfully decline.
Potentially.
P14 to P1. Need to say more. Here we go, actually, though. Niels is in a battle with Dark, and I gotta say, the hard turn not looking good for Covers either. He's losing time, losing it quickly. Here comes Niels, and he has lost that spot to Dark, so the older medium is just looking a little bit shaky. Is this the sort of scenario we saw in 2022 in Formula 1, where Charles Leclerc was leading the race at sort of a comfortable margin, pit for the hard tyre, and then fell like a large stone through water because Covers is looking vulnerable here? There's actually a car off. That's Max van der Geest.
Fortunately, no safety car. I know that the drivers who are securely out on track, if they see a single yellow flag, they are getting excited. they're just hoping to see that yellow dot pop up in the pit lane, meaning that the safety car has been deployed. But it hasn't just yet. But if it deploys for them, they are in such a good spot. But now we need to watch out. I was going to say, for traffic, Joe Silva and Shizu Zane both been off into the pit lane already. And it means that Kovas now really has a clear path. No real traffic to maybe do some tracks on, and also no traffic to lose position. So I guess in his eyes, it should be positive. But Abateo and Shizu Macho, they are still just working together. Gonna hopefully for them extend that stint as long as possible. But you know who's in a little bit of more trouble? It is Knuth. After the pit lane period, he has lost connection to that full train and he is struggling. Same goes for Doug. Again, lost connection to the train, is now struggling. Tellus and Niels fighting really hard. They've now lost connection to the train and will be struggling. It's this pit stop phase. It maybe looked ordinary, but you've seen so many small little gaps, and the pace is so high that it's really impossible to really get it back in. Drivers got really excited there, retired, but it was a retirement in the pit. Max van der Geest out of this race, P25.
Yeah, horrible race weekend in quotation marks for Max van der Geest. It's been a bit of a nothing race for him. A horrible race for our home hero as well, Novel, who is at the front of this field by quite a margin, by 12 point something seconds to his teammate Ghost Kings. Two race leaders, Matteo and Macho, into the pit lane. Keep an eye on them, they'll be going with the soft tyres, they'll be quick towards the end of this Grand Prix. Skyline not quite close enough to Covers for the time being. He knows well that Covers is a crafty racer and could well hold these guys off. We will wait and see, as there was a yellow flag that was for Max's retired car. Top 5, it's Covers, Skyline, Dirk, Enzo and Dark. The top 5 have all not won a race this season. We're going to have a new winner, I feel, here in PSGL F2. Although I say that, we do have Matteo cutting through the field. Baz Bramer in the stream chat said earlier that he could do a back-to-back. I wonder, will that prediction come to fruition?
In theory it could, but then once again, just like last week, I could win the race as well.
You could.
But yeah, but the whole train now being bunched up, it is P1, 2, 3, and 4, all back again in that train. And now the question is, who's going to strike first and where are they going to strike? It's normally not a matter of when, it is where. And you need to just drive your lines, because you can't constantly go defensive, because then you'll be making mistakes. But you can't just fully drive your normal lines, because if someone sends it then, you're just going to have to see like, oh, there's a car on my inside, I can't turn in, because otherwise my wing will be gone. I need to yield the position. That's the beauty of this track, and that's the beauty of absolutely sending it. But those hard tires, the longer Skyline's waiting, the more it's going to get back to him. And those hard tires, they're only going to be feeling, I mean, worse and worse, but pace-wise, they're going to only become better and better compared to everyone else around him on track. Currently on the older styles, we still got Carb Racer and Danielle, both Haas drivers on 19 and 18 lap old mediums. Then we got Zorzo as well on 19 lap old mediums. So they're just going to still be waiting for a safety car to happen, and they're just going to drive out on the track for as long as possible. Going to just see what happens for them in the future. Jacob Konias as well, getting rid of those old hard tires on towards a fresh set of mediums.
Some really close racing here in PSGL F2 this evening. Skyline got the closest he's got to Covers in towards turn number 1. I think the hard tyre is starting to heat up, starting to pick up a little bit, as we see Ghost King set the fastest lap of the Grand Prix. We were in the 18s at the start, and then 16.9, so really good fastest lap there from Ghost Kings. Max leaves the session. There's penalties across the board as well, just the 4. I think it's 3 seconds for Johan Danielle, Jacob Konius and Ghost Kings respectively. Is this time to strike for Skyline? Can he get the slipstream and the DRS benefits quick enough on this main straight? It's not the longest main straight in Formula 1, that's for sure, and he's not going to be able to get a benefit from that because he's got to stay behind the Mercedes for the time being, and Dirk and Enzo will stay line astern as well for now. Further back, the Alpines are now running 7th and 8th again. That's not even a bad result considering how poor Newt's qualifying was. Oh, seems like we've lost time. Oh, is he back?
For me, so Hopefully it's now fixed. Otherwise, it will be an issue on your end.
No, all good. We can hear you now.
But I mean, at this stage, we can just might as well continue. We're gonna see if it was actually your issue or mine. But if it was mine, it should be fixed by now. Meanwhile, Dirk, he is the closest one in comparison towards the top 3, and he has also.
Oh, seems like we've lost Hyman again, unfortunately. Hopefully
But Dirk needs to make that initial move on Skyline, and afterwards he needs to find an overtaking opportunity still on covers, whilst having enough ERS. A little bit of a mistake there, a little bit of a squirm on the exits from Skyline, forcing Skyline to use again a little bit of his battery, but no overtake has been happening by Dirk. He is just chilling, and he knows damn well that Skyline. Hard. Yeah, and otherwise, Dirk might be in a little bit of trouble. That's what we said with overtaking. Meanwhile, Macho and Amateo are overtaking with each other. These two should be working together, trying to catch up towards that train, but the gap being 5 seconds towards the cars ahead. Seemingly, they're not really going to be going anywhere very, very soon. Well, Evan, you have left.
Hopefully,
and so
hopefully that should fix any audio issues. Can you hear me, Simon?
I can hear you.
Yeah, I think we couldn't hear each other. That was the problem there. Hopefully that's all fixed for now. Should be a quick fix. But yeah, in terms of this Grand Prix, Scotland was up close in personal recovers. He's now dropping off. Maybe this is a cover strategy masterclass after all.
It's close towards the second, not really gone for it. Govers didn't even use all that much of his battery. It's again just those hard times becoming better and better. And now Dirk, he needs to be there and he needs to be ready because he should know next lap that gap's going to appear again. And if he's again going to let this gap go, then it's going to likely result into the same outcome, this time without a pit stop or any opportunity to really get back at him. So Dirk needs to get all ready, get as close to Skyline as possible and make the move whenever the gap hits 1 second. But Skyline, he's not fully run out of battery as well. He can still make up for it, but Covers now getting low towards the bottom 1/4 of his battery, whilst Skyline is still on like 2/5. So for the people that don't know math, that is more. And Dirk pretty much on a full battery. So it's really a battery game currently and looking if you're going to get DRS or if you're just going to miss out on it. Meanwhile, Johan, he has just lost 1.9 seconds compared to Macho in, I do believe, 1 lap. Watch out for Macho and Amateo. They are going to be flying.
Yeah, so they're going to be really quick come the end of this race. And they, of course, are on the freshest tyres in the field. They're on 4 and 5 lap old tyres respectively. Diogo Silva on quite quick tyres as well. Sorry, I say the freshest tyres in the field. The freshest tyres of those still relatively competing for high results. Of course, Danielle and Zorzo are on fresh soft tyres, but they're way down the back, unfortunately. And that's the problem when you're in an opening lap collision and we get no safety cars or VSCs. You don't get really an invitation back into such a high competitive and closely fought race like this one. Lap 25 or 35, we're almost getting there to the conclusion of this race here at the Hungary ring, just on the outskirts of Budapest. And we are building like a crescendo, it seems, where we're going to have a grandstand finish, hopefully for you watching at home who've stuck with us throughout this slightly more extended broadcast. Hopefully we do get that grandstand finish after all gap is closing between Covers and Skyline. Battery perspective, they're both pretty even. Enzo the lowest of the 4, Dirk the highest of the 4.
It's the case, and I think it's just a little bit of a countdown. It's like you're just sitting there for the new year, just waiting. You see that clock, and it's slowly ticking down, and you've only got 10 minutes left to go on the normal clock, and in this case, it's only 10 more laps. And every time you go past, it comes closer and closer. You need to do something. You need to prepare yourself for the celebrations, but to get there, you need to arrive at it fully first. And Dirk, he needs to make a move. The gap was 9/10 at one point. Now it's fully caught back up. Govers again going to save a little bit of ERS, and he's nearly leveled now compared to Skyline. I don't know what Skyline's plan is, but I think he should know that the longer he waits with overtaking Govers, the more his tyres will be in trouble. Again, a little bit of a slide from Dirk, not doing it all that well. And meanwhile, Enzo again holding on very tightly towards the end of that train. But I think at the end of this lap, Enzo will be out of this race.
Is Skyline potentially just biding his time and waiting for the last lap, kind of like we've seen previously? Although, if we cast your minds back to last week, Mateo got the race-winning move done on the penultimate lap of the race, actually, not the final lap. So maybe Skyline went for the penultimate lap instead. We will have to see. But if you're enjoying the action, once again, folks, we'd like to remind you to subscribe to the PSGL YouTube channel and check out all our social channels. I'm not going to rant on to you for the next 30 minutes about that. We'll keep on with our racing action here. This is the closest Skyline's got into this final sector, I think, personally. But once again, a little bit of a wobble heading through turn number 12 could be the cause of his demise, because there is cars getting closer behind him as well. They're all just bunching up a little bit, and it seems like if one can go for a move, the rest of them will all have to go for moves. But here we go. Down the main straight is Dirk. No, Dirk not burning his battery, despite having a full tank of it. It's conservation mode here in PSGL. There is a physics theory called the conservation of momentum, where it's when one object hits another, the momentum will continue. We have a little bit of a conservation of tyre saving and battery here in PSGL F2. One driver saves his tyres and battery, the other most certainly will do as well.
I don't believe it for sure. Mateo somehow still has his wing. It was Macho going up for a move on the inside. Both Alpines have gone. Knut, the championship leader. I think he's come in contact with his teammate. Niels has fully gone around. I didn't really see what happened there, but in the background it was already getting iffy. Drivers were not quick enough. Were too slow. Mateo and Macho were just absolutely flying towards our field. But the only result that has really happened there, it is a spin from Niels. It's a spin as well from Noel, but Noel can still continue as well. Mateo, firstly, let's explain. Up until turn number 3, because you got turn 1 and then a little bit of a wiggle that counts technically as turn 2. Then as turn 3, it's Macho going up the inside. Johan going a little bit wide, and Amateo's taking his front wing in there as well. And it was a hard spin from Johan. And then as soon as I got back up there was contact. I do believe it was between the both of the Alpines, which means that your championship leader did get involved in that. Meanwhile, Amateo is finally going to be going for that move. Having cleared that pretty much the full train, you still got Tallies a little bit more up in front of there. The Macho giving a little bit of a love tap towards the backhand of Knut. Meanwhile, we got another or retirement, and this time it is Niels fully done with that race. He doesn't think it is worth to stick out there anymore. Macho, though, gonna be stuck behind Knut, your championship leader here. He's at
Or is he? Or is he?
Around the outside here. You naughty boy, Macho. Looking for it. He wanted it. He wanted it badly, but it did not happen. Knut, the worst result he's currently going to get will be B9, which I think, if you look at where Knut qualified, is a position that he might need to accept.
Yeah, hindsight is a wonderful thing, and you may have expected or may want a higher position than 9th, but I think immediately after qualifying he would have taken 9th and 2 points. You got to get points when you can if you're fighting for a championship, and that is what Youth is doing. Here we go. Then there's a mistake from Skyline. This is going to invite the Aston Martin up the inside. Big wobble from Skyline out of turn 13. This could invite Dirk to take second position. This could allow Covers to extend his margin at the front of this race. Is Dirk going for it in towards turn number 1? Is the Aston Martin going to lunge one up the inside? He absolutely is. And Dirk is going to try take this one from his TF10 teammate. They're both side by side on the exit of the corner, heading down towards the next left-hander. Bit of contact between the two. The Aston Martin's pushed wide and onto the curb, but he keeps his car on the inside. The ultimate commitment, the ultimate bravery from the pair of them. Dirk held it round the outside, held it on the inside, and waited, bided his time. He's now second place in this Grand Prix and could be going for a race win. Skyline still all over the wing mirrors of the Aston Martin, however, and is trying to get that spot back. A costly error from the McLaren, who's now in third.
McLaren's losing out on the spot there. I didn't believe there was some contact behind between Enzo and Dark. That's why I pretty much gave in screaming contact. I thought Dark was fully around, but he managed to still save his car. But both McLaren's losing one position on that last lap, and it's definitely not how they wanted to play it, but it was just Skyline's full-on mistake. He tried to break as late as possible, outbroke himself, invited Dirk around the outside, and he just kept it there and made that move stick. Absolutely incredible from him. Now, Covers, he's burning a little bit to try and put some pressure on Dirk, but I think Dirk is absolutely very comfortable here. 5 more laps to go. Like I said, Dirk, he first needed an opportunity to go past Skyline. He saw that opportunity and he took it. Now he just needs one more opportunity to go past Covers, and it's going to be interesting. Meanwhile, side by side go Knuf and Macho, but Macho making that move look very easy compared to Knuf, and Knuf now getting in trouble because he's got Diogo Silva and Zane still behind him. And they are both on 3 lap older fresher tires compared to him as well. Meanwhile, Amateo and Macho, how far could they go? They can relatively easily catch Talis still because there's a 5 lap difference in tires. But can they reach all the way up towards the leading train? That is the question. It's going to matter how easily they'll be able to get past Talis.
It also matters when they both decide to stop working together here, because they've both been working together throughout the entire duration of this race. They're not on the same teams. One's in an Aston Martin, one's in a Ferrari. Of course, Macho is part of the Shizou racing team. Matteo is part of ET8, so it's not the same in anything. It looks like Macho feels he has the number on his fellow alternate strategy runner here, because he's all over the back of Matteo. Maybe Matteo has decided that, okay, we're not going to catch Talis here, I'm just going to try hold you up for a little bit and we'll see how this one goes. But there certainly could be a move on the cards here. It's going to be a Ferrari running for the final corner now. Can Macho get the exit? Burning his battery, feels like a move is necessary. Matteo bolts out of the final corner quick in a straight line. Here comes Macho though, going for this one. It's going to be the outside or the inside. It's the outside, breaks way later in towards turn number 1. The outside is feasible, not on this occasion, but he still gets the traction. Tucks right back in behind the Aston Martin, and now Matteo switches his point of attack, and point of defense I should say. Matteo switches his point of attack side by side, just like we saw the top 2. Macho gets it done. What an exquisite piece of driving from the Scuderia Ferrari man. The Tifosi will love everything about that. That's pure class and pure bravery in towards turn number 5. They said, everyone said, you can't overtake out Hungary. These boys are proving us wrong.
Incredible, the absolute limits you can go to, and it's again why I appreciate sim racing. You can push it to the limits and not really have the consequences. Are you going to see an overtake like that IRL really soon? Not really. The only thing you're really going to see IRL is some great defending from Fernando Alonso. It needs to happen again. Meanwhile, the first penalty in the top 5. Dark, and he's not going to be dropping all that much. He just needs to make sure that he remains 3 seconds outside of the gap from Talis, but he does still have Amateo and Macho behind him. Macho gone, 1 second clear of Amateo. It's what he needed, and now he can just push onwards. They are working together, and now they need to fight against each other. Is Diogo Silva now going to go for it? Let's go on board, because he's got DRS. He figures that Amateo doesn't, but Amateo just burning his DRS to maintain and equalize on the fact that he did not have that DRS. So it's going to be all chilling for now. Knuf under a little bit of pressure from Shizou Zane behind, but he seems to be able to fend that off again as well. So it's a good move from Knuf, and even think he overtook Zane because he did have DRS or Zane didn't. But the gap towards the front, that's where it's interesting. Again, Enzo on the verge of losing that train. 3 more laps to go. Everything can happen. Evan, who's winning this?
I don't know who's winning this, but the two Hatters have made a nice move on Jacob going. Yes, they're working together and fighting for P13. We'll keep a brief eye on them. We won't be putting too much focus on the Battle of 13th when we have such a ferocious battle for first. Dark starting to wilt. He is the first to make a few mistakes. Got a penalty, ran wide just there. You could see in the back middle ground of your camera shot. And Dark in 5th position. It's looking like, it's actually not looking like he'll keep 5th. There could be a spot on the cards here for Macho if he plays his cards right and can get past Talis, because there is a spot on the cards for Talis for the time being. Here comes Covers. He's actually having to defend Dirk, just putting the pressure on, just maybe a little, just getting the feelers out and going, Covers, I'm here. Don't forget that. I'm here. I want to win this race. Don't be getting complacent. Zane passes Matteo. I'm not too sure what's actually happened, Matteo. Maybe some damage, but he is losing spots rapidly. Gets the switch back on the Alfa Romeo, using the slipstream of Newt in front. Now on the outside, being forced onto the curb. You can use that curb, of course, for traction. It's more than ideal, but you don't really want to be boxed in like the way he was, and now Matteo is out of the points, which is real unfortunate. There's got to be some damage or maybe a technical fault or something for Matteo, because he was really quick in this race and all of a sudden he's now not.
There was contact earlier on between him and Johan where I said it was impressive that he didn't really lose an end plate or anything else. Surely there's been some minor damage picked up from that incident, and Amateo is not loving it. The pace that he had early on, it is all gone, and then it's amazing that Macho was able to make that overtake so early on because it really saved his race. Macho absolutely pushing with everything that he's still got, trying to get past that Williams as soon as possible because he knows he can see that Dark still has that penalty, and Dark is going to be putting full pressure on Enzo soon because that gap is just getting bigger and bigger. Is it going to be a good exit for Dark? Seemingly not. No. Dirk though on the overtake, going to be trying to again force something in here. He's going to send it this lap. He's just going to keep going for it. He's going to go for it up the inside. Dirk makes that move. Penultimate lap again, just like last time around in Qatar. Now around the outside, Dirk needs to fully send it. He does have the DRS, and Skyline again trying to go for it as well. Covers going to be losing 2 positions in one go. That is the question. Is he going to do it? Skyline trying to go all the way around the outside. Door gets closed by Covers. Covers now in 2nd position, and he still has now the opportunity to go for it on the final lap. Tires between Dirk and Covers exactly equal, besides the fact that Dirk is on mediums, Covers is on hards, but the same old tires, and it should be Covers who has a tire advantage. Battery advantage is all the way up towards Dirk, and on that final lap it's going to be absolutely chaotic and absolutely amazing. Still going to be a big battle going on towards P8. It's Diogo Silva versus Knut versus Zane Armateo, and then Johan at the back, but he does still have that penalty. And don't forget, you got Talis versus Macho. Talis actually being your pole shot. I don't think he did all that well in that aspect, so let's just forget talking about that. But Macho, he is also absolutely there.
Mistake from Dirk.
He will be capitalizing on that move as well. Final lap, Evan, it's all yours.
This one looked like it was done, but Dirk has just made a mistake. We've got also confirmation that Matteo does have damage. Big thanks to Bas Bremen once again for that one. Final lap of the Hungarian Grand Prix. Weave all the way down the straight. Dirk is going for this one. He wants it, but that mistake could cost him. Could Covers go for it into one? No, opts for the safe approach. Gotta try take it down towards turn number 3. Oh, bit of a wobble on the exit, using all of his battery, but this looks like it's Dirk's to take here. He's got just more traction because of those tires. You would have thought the hards would be better at this point in the race, but not really. This is still cagey. This is still really close between the Mercedes and the Mercedes powered Aston Martin in towards turn number 5. You can see them both struggling with the tires. We've not really seen many mistakes from the top 5. If they were to make a mistake now due to the extortionate wear on those tires, that would be a thoroughly horrible way to end such a thrilling encounter here in Budapest. Rounding through the middle sector now, they're both giving it absolutely everything. It looks like we're at snail's pace, but that's just because there's been 19 hard laps crafted on these respective compounded tires. In towards the final sector now for the final time. Dirk, is he home and dry? You can't quite call it just yet because anything could go wrong in these final couple of corners. Through turn 13 for the final time, in towards the right-hander at turn 14. There's a yellow flag in the middle sector, but Dirk will not give a care in the world for that. He's not got a point this season in PSGL, but now he has a win as Dirk wins the Hungarian Grand Prix. He made the move on the penultimate lap, beats Covers to the line. Full respect to Covers for that one. A really impressive drive for Covers there to take second. He's got his first podium of the season, and Skyline will take it home in third. He'll be kicking himself for making that mistake, but Dirk is on top. Aston Martin take 2 of the 3 to open the season.
It is absolutely incredible. Like we said, Evan, like I said in the beginning, if you need to jump that gap to enter your championship fights, you need to do it this race. And someone's proven himself, and this time round, it is Dirk. 23rd in the standings, double P14, and he just comes out there and wins this race. It is what he needed. Macho left the session early on, so we need to respect that lap time is slightly wrong. Macho ended up in P7. It's a nice glitch if you leave early on your week that you get fully retired. I was just going to quickly calculate who the championship lead has. I think it's still Knut. All the big runners, all the big names you've seen in the championship have not really scored nicely. Knut, P9. Sorzo, didn't see. Ian didn't race. Armateo ending up in P11. Johan, P12. Noel, nowhere to be seen. Fede didn't race. Diogo Silva got like P8. Everyone who's in the bottom end of that list got really good points. And I don't want to say that we can just forget the first 2 or 3 rounds. Championship-wise, it's really dangerously close all again. all the tiny gaps that there were, I think we're going to have a massive group of drivers leading. And I think Knut has maintained his championship lead.
Yeah, the championship has been blown out of the water because now we have so many different competitors who could potentially take this one. And just reading the Discord, Covers had to save fuel for the last 10 laps, so that could be while he was suffering. It wasn't pole to win to be for the Dutchman. It was TF10 Dirk of Aston Martin who took the race win ahead of Covers, Skyline, Enzo. Fair play to Enzo, picking up P4 on his first race of the season. He'll take it. He'll take the points. And then Dark, Tales, Diogo Silva, Newt, Zane, Matteo, Johan, Danielle, Jacob, Zorzo, and then Ghost Kings. Then your non-finishers, Macho did get down as a DNF. We do have to just say that because these aren't the penultimate results, but that will probably be fixed by the stewards. Or at least it should be fixed by the stewards, certainly. But that is your top 10 and top 20 coming out of the Hungary. I'm not sure if we are going to get an interview from our top 3. I'll certainly ask and see, can we get one from the race winner, at least, as Timon's beat me to it. But certainly, in terms of this race, look, we've probably gone over the broadcast time a little bit, but it was probably worth it. It was a really good end to a really good race.
I mean, I certainly didn't mind. Of course, it's annoying to have those 2 lobby restarts. But at the end of the day, that is what happens. And we've all gone for it. Dirk, he said sure on an interview. I haven't really heard from the other 2. Maybe pinging them will do nicely. But yeah, this race didn't go as we expected, Evan.
It did. We were expecting a strategical sort of race. We were expecting something along those lines, and we got it, but we got a bit of extra overtaking added in as well, which I'm certainly very thankful for. We got some great overtakes, we got some great battling, and it goes to show that these guys can race wheel to wheel when they want to.
Certainly, and that's also what they needed to prove. And of course, you're gonna always have some complaints. Driver standings, there's not able to have a race where you just fully finish perfectly, no contact at all. I mean, and sometimes you need to have a little bit of contact to make it even more. Not to make it even better, but you can't have a race without a little bit of contact. And a little bit of contact doesn't necessarily have to mean that it is a crash, but knowingly that Matteo is pretty upset because he got wing damage from it. And besides that, contact and crashes in general are never nice. 30 seconds, and then Dirk will be entering the interview room. This race has put the championship, you can throw it out the bin, what we had with championship contenders and whatnot. Everything's changed. It's going to be very interesting to see what happens next. But Dirk is here, so we're just going to quickly drag him in. But Evan, championship-wise, what are you going to expect? Knut again to remain consistent whilst Dirk's gone back in the waiting room?
Let's see if we can bring Dirk in now. Hello, Dirk. Can you hear us? Hello, Dirk.
Can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you now. Perfect. Thank you very much for joining us. You had to wait until round number 6 last season to take a race win. This one's come in round 3, heading into the break week. You took the race lead with 2 laps to go with some impressive racing. How did that race go from your perspective?
Yeah, first of all, the win should have been last week already when I got a disconnect, but should have been a back-to-back win, but it is what it is. But yeah, coming into this race, I knew that this is one of my worst tracks, and every point I would have scored, I would have been happy with. So I really did not expect to fight for the win today. I was also taking way too much track limits in practice, so I wouldn't be surprised if I would have gotten a 3-second time penalty. Luckily, I didn't get that, but I just stayed in the DRS and waited till the right moments.
When you got past Skyline, was that your plan, to just sit behind for a little bit and then take it near the end of the race? Or were you kind of forced into that move? Because we saw some drivers had to go for overtakes earlier than planned. Were you always planning to go for it on the penultimate lap, or were you forced into that?
I tried to overtake him as soon as possible, but I felt like when I overtake Skyline, his hard tires were already better than my medium tires. So it was hard to be really, really close here and really go for the move. But on the penultimate lap, I was a bit closer than before, but still quite far. But I thought I'll just use full ERS and try to drive a very fast lap 34. So I had a bit of a gap. But I wasn't even that far ahead of him because I made a mistake in the last sector, which cost me at least 2/10 probably. But it was enough in the end, luckily.
Timon, over to you.
The main question that I was going to ask is, you were in third, obviously, for a long time, and then making that move, it was going to be, I think making the move for second place was going to be way more difficult than the move for first. Were you thinking the same thing? Were you happy when you saw that Skyline made a mistake, or what was your thoughts when you were sitting in third?
I was gonna go for it that lap anyways on Skyline, but because I was like on a 10th coming into that corner, but the fact that he made a mistake made me brake, which only cost me time. So it made it even harder that he made a mistake. So, but I thought I need to go for it somewhere, and this was the opportunity to go for it if I wanted to have a chance on the win. So I needed to do it, even though he's of course also in TF10, which makes it a bit harder to go for it because you don't want to give your TF10 teammate damage or something. I'm not sure what happened in turn 2 and 3 because he hit me quite hard, but yeah, in the end I got past without damage, so it wasn't a problem.
I mean, I don't have any questions, Evan, unless you have anything to add to it.
I'm just receiving a PM that I'm going to be reported for something. I couldn't read it fully, but I guess it will be decided in the steward's room then.
Oh, well, that's disappointing to hear. Dirk, in terms of a championship, whether you keep this win or not, do you think you can challenge for the title this season?
I want to get at least top 3 and a chance to be promoted to F1. That's my main opportunity, my main goal.
Well, Dirk, thank you very much for joining us here for the interview. We do greatly appreciate it because we know we went on a little bit later than usual tonight. But yeah, thank you very much, and we wish you the best of luck in 2 weeks' time in Las Vegas.
Yeah, thank you. Shout out to Mike, Wammes, and Quinten. Bye.
A shout out to those. I think that's the first ever shout out we've given in the commentary box, Tyler. But a huge shout out to all of you who stuck with us for PSGL action here this evening, ladies and gentlemen. It feels like we've been broadcasting for ages, but we haven't really. We're going to let you go now and head over to PSGL F1 or F3, whatever takes your fancy. They're both still live and in the middle of races. So do head over there. Make sure to subscribe to the PSGL YouTube channel. Check out our title sponsors, GT Omega, who we will leave you with a word from now, from myself and from Timon, who's that side of me. Thank you very much for joining us. Stay safe, stay well, and we shall see you in 2 weeks' time after the break week. Bye-bye.
Got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though.